Hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. Sit down, please. I'd like to speak English today too, to improve my speaking skill. Let's get it started. Today, it is October 24th, 2023. It's on Tuesday and sunny outside. How are you spending Tuesday? Do you have a work or school today? Or have you already finished working or studying at school? Have you got a day off today? It depends on your schedule. It hinges on your schedule. It's all up to your schedule. It's dependent on your schedule. Is this bag yours? Is this bag yours? Are these shoes theirs? Are these shoes theirs? Are these shoes theirs? Are these shoes theirs? Is this table for us? Your pair of speakers are giving off higher quality sound than mine. Your pair of speakers are sounding higher quality than mine. Your pair of speakers are sounding higher quality than mine. Your pair of speakers are sounding better than mine. Your pair of speakers are sounding with better quality than mine. In order to reduce the possibility of coming across an old friend of mine, I took a detour and visited the post office in a different time zone, in a different time from the usual one. In an attempt to avoid meeting an old friend of mine, I visited the post office during different time. We sometimes run into an old friend of ours. We sometimes run into an old friend of ours. We sometimes run into an old friend of ours. This is mine. The ice cream collection in the freezer are mine. The ice cream collection in my fridge are mine. The ice cream collection in the freezer are mine. Bear that in mind. Keep that in mind. Are these shoes yours? Are these pair of 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 shoes yours? Is this bag yours? Which is yours? Whose bag is this? Whose bag is this? Who's this? Whose is this? Whose is this bag? Whose are these shoes? Whose are these shoes? Whose shoes are these? Whose shoes are these? Whose shoes are these? Whose shoes are these? Whose are these shoes? Is this yours? Is this bag yours? Is this bag yours? Is this bag yours? Is this pen yours? No, this is not mine. There is a proof that the pen is his, because there is his initial and name on it. His name is on it. The pen is his, for his name is written on it. This pen is his, for his name is written on it. The baseball left on the desk is his. The baseball left on the desk is his. The video console is his. He brought it to this place for party. The video console is his. He brought it to the party venue for fun. The video console and the video games are his. He brought them to the party venue for fun. The video console and the video games are his. He brought them to the venue for fun. Which is his between the two? Which is his among the four choices? Which is his among the four? The red one, and his name is on it. Which are his? There are many pairs of shoes. Where is his desk? The one at the corner is his. Which is his desk? The one at the corner in front of the window is his. Where is his desk? The second from the most right is his. Where is his desk? The one? The third from the right edge is his. Where is his desk? The one? The second from the left edge is his. The second from the left edge is his. Where is his desk? The one? The second from the left edge is his. The one? The third from the right edge is his. Where is her desk? The one? The second from the right edge is hers. Which are her shoes? The black and white stripe are hers. Which is her desk? The one? The fourth from the right edge is hers. Which is where is her desk? The one on the right edge in front of the window is his. Where is her desk? The one in front of the desk, in front of the teacher's desk, is hers. Where is her desk? It is the one. The second from the right edge is hers. The one. The second from the left edge is hers. Where is her seat? The one, fifth from the front and seventh from the left edge is hers. Where is her seat? The one, fifth from the front and eighth from the left edge is hers. Which is hers? There are 4 cookies. We cannot know. There is no knowing which is hers. So help yourself to whichever you want. We can just choose one of them. Can I exchange my day off with hers? Can I exchange the date of my day off with hers? If possible, I'd like to change the date for my day off with hers. If possible, I'd like to change the my day off with hers. If possible, I'd like to change the date for my day off with hers. We booked space for our picnic, and the area where we can use is divided from others with a brief fence for convenience, in order to distinguish the area from others. There are 15 areas. The picnic area is divided into 15 areas, and we booked one of them in advance. So we will know where is our territory immediately. The area surrounded by green fence is ours. The area surrounded by green rope is ours. We have booked the space for our picnic in the park. There are 15 sections in the park, meaning only 15 sections are available for the picnic, and it is perfectly for reservation. Without reservation, we cannot use the space. So as soon as I have arrived at the venue, I will notify you of the exact place where we can have the picnic. The section surrounded by green rope is ours. The section under cherry blossoms is ours. We booked the area, the place. We booked the space. We have booked the space. The place under the cherry blossoms and surrounded by green rope is ours. The place under the cherry blossom trees and with green rope surrounding the area is ours. And since there were no people at the beach except for us, so the beach was almost for us. Ours. The beach was ours. And since there were no people except for us, so the beach was ours. The beach was almost ours. Since there were no other customers in the onsen was ours. Since there was no customers in the onsen facility, it was almost for us. It was ours. Since there were no people except for us, the beach was almost ours. The beach was ours. The beach was almost ours. Since there were no people except for us at the beach was almost ours. Excuse me, I just picked up 1,000 yen at the beach. Is this yours? Because nobody, because it was not none of us. Because it was not for us, not us, not ours. Because it is not ours. Excuse me, I've just picked up 1,000 yen at the beach. Is this yours? This is not ours. Otherwise, I will bring it to a police station. Excuse me, I've just picked up 1,000 yen at the beach, and this is not ours. So is this yours? If not, I'll bring it to a police station. Excuse me, I've just picked up 1,000 yen at the beach. It might be thrown by the wind from your place. Is this yours? It is not ours. Excuse me, is this not yours? It might have been thrown away by the wind from your place, and this is not ours. Yes, thank you. And sorry for the inconvenience. Excuse me, the towel was just thrown away from your place. Is this yours? Excuse me, the towel has been just thrown away by the wind from your place. Is this yours? Excuse me, this towel was thrown off by the wind from your place. Is this yours? Excuse me, the tower was blown off from your place. Is this yours? Excuse me, the tower seems to have blown away from your place. Is this yours? Excuse me, the tower seems to have been blown off from your place. Is this yours? Excuse me, the tower seems to have been blown away from your place by strong wind. Is this yours? Yeah, thank you, and sorry for the inconvenience. Excuse me, I've just picked up a tower which seems to have been blown away from your place by strong wind. Is this yours? Excuse me, I've just picked up a tower which seems to have been blown away from your place by strong wind. Maybe this baseball is theirs. They are playing baseball over there. Maybe I will bring it to them. I guess the baseball is theirs. They are playing baseball over there. I predict the game will be theirs. Because the game is proceeding 10-1 already. The opponent will have less possibility to win over, because they get 9 points back still. Which is yours? The red one. Our performance was not inferior to theirs. Our performance was not inferior to theirs. Inferior to theirs. Our performance was not inferior to others. Inferior to others. Theirs. Our performance was not inferior to others. Our performance was not inferior to others. Our performance was not inferior to others. Theirs. Our performance was not inferior to theirs. 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 We've grew up by competing with theirs. We've grew up competing with theirs. We've been growing up by competing with theirs. Competing with theirs contributed to our growth. That's why it is said to having a rival is important for our growth. The right to decide which course they take is theirs. The right to decide which course they take is theirs. The right to decide which course they take is theirs. If the TOB succeeds, the whole right would be theirs. If the TOB succeeds, the right to manage the company would be theirs. If the TOB succeeds, the right to manage the company will be theirs, theirs, theirs. If the buyer buys more than 50% of the stock of the company, what will happen? If the company buys more than 50% of the stocks of the company B, who has the right to manage the company? Will it be the buyers? At the moment the deal have been contracted, the ownership will be theirs. At the moment the contract has been signed, the ownership will be theirs. As it is written on the contract, the ownership of the company will be theirs as of November 1st. The ownership of the company will be theirs from April 1st next year, as the contract says. It reads, the ownership of the company will be theirs from April 1st next year. It reads, the ownership of the company will be theirs. In order to avoid meeting an old friend of mine, I went to the post office at a different time. In an attempt to avoid meeting an old friend of mine, I visited the post office during different time. I sold some collections of mine. I sold some collections of the cards. I sold my collection of the cards. I sold some of my collections of the cards. I sold some collections of the cards. Where can I sell my collection of the cards for the highest prices? Which shop do you recommend I should sell the collection of the cards? I'd like to sell them for the highest prices, and I also don't wanna defraud it. I don't wanna be defrauded by notorious shops or companies. I'd like to sell the collections of the cards for highest prices as high as possible. I racked up brain. I racked up my brain. I racked up my brain. I racked up my brain to solve the problem, to resolve the problem. Resolve the problems. Figure out the problems. I'd like to sell all the cars of mine. I'd like to sell all the cars of mine. I'd like to sell all the cars of mine. Where can I sell old cars of mine? Can I sell old cars of mine for expensive prices? Do you think I can sell old cars of mine for good prices somewhere? Is it premiered or are they sold cheap prices? I don't know. Let me check. You ought to pride yourself on making so many mistakes. I think the more you make mistakes, the closer you approach to your success. The more you make mistakes, the closer you will reach your destination, I guess. So you ought to pride yourself on the number of mistakes you made ever. You ought to pride yourself on the number of mistakes you have ever made. You ought to pride yourself on the number of mistakes you have made ever. Much better than those who never challenge at all. You ought to pride yourself on the number of mistakes you have made ever. You ought to pride yourself on the number of mistakes you have made ever. The more you make mistakes, the closer you will reach the destination you are aiming for reaching. The more you make mistakes, I guess, the closer you can approach the success. Some people pride themselves on being acquainted with a celebrity or an influencer. Some people pride themselves on being acquainted with somebody famous. Some people pride themselves on graduating from a famous university or high school. I pride myself on being friends with you. I pride myself on being friends with you. I hope it will last forever. Perpetually. Permanently. Perpetually. Eternally. Forever. For good. For good. I hope the relationship between us will not fall through. Be through. I hope our relationship will not fall through. Be through. I hope our relationship will not be through. I pride myself on being able to continue doing one thing for a long time, maybe forever, eternally, for good, perpetually, everlastingly. I pride yourself on being able to work for a long time. I pride yourself on working on the duty with a lot of passion and motivation. I pride myself on being able to study English for a long time after graduating from university, high school, junior high school. I didn't expect for me to be able to study English for a long time. I didn't expect to be able to study English for a long time. I thought I will give rights to the study at some point in my life, but I didn't. I thought I would give rights to the study at some point in my life, but I didn't. I thought I would give rights to the study by bumping into difficulties at some point in my life, but I didn't stop. Meaning I like English. I like English study. That's why I still study. It will be forever. It's no end to our interest. It's no end to the thing we are really into. What do you pride yourself on? Are there things you can pride yourself on? Are there things you can pride yourself on? You should pride yourself on the number of mistakes you have ever made. You ought to pride yourself on the number of mistakes you have ever made. You ought to pride yourself on the number of mistakes you have made ever. You ought to pride yourself on the number of mistakes you have ever made. You ought to pride yourself on the number of mistakes you have ever made. You should pride yourself on the number of mistakes you have ever made. You ought to pride yourself on the mistakes you have ever made. Are you priding yourself on being acquainted with the influencer? You ought to pride yourself on having such a big shopping mall nearby. You ought to pride yourself on having such a big shopping mall nearby. You ought to pride yourself on having such a big shopping mall nearby. You ought to pride yourself on having such a good family doctor nearby. I admit myself unique. I admit myself unique. I accept myself as unique. I admit myself unique. I admit myself as unique. We have to take care of myself. We have to take care of ourselves. I have to take care of myself. I realized that I had to take care of myself after I had developed the disease. I am determined to take care of myself after I developed the disease. I realized the importance of me taking care of myself. I realized the importance of taking care of myself. I realized the importance of taking care of myself. I realized the importance of taking care of myself. I realized the importance of taking care of myself. I realized the importance of taking care of myself. I realized the importance of taking care of myself. I realized the importance of taking care of myself. I realized the importance of taking care of myself. I praised myself with steak. I'd like to praise myself with steak. I wanna praise myself with steak. I am going to celebrate myself with a steak. I will treat myself to 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 steak. I will treat myself steak. I will treat myself to steak. I will treat myself 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 steak. I sacrificed myself working overtime in order to earn enough money. Some parents sacrifice themselves in order to help their children. I did do it myself. 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 If it had not been for your help, I couldn't have done it myself. If it were not for your help, I couldn't do it myself. Had it not been for your help, I couldn't have done it myself. Were it not for your help, I could not do that myself. I managed to arrive at the destination myself. My mother managed to arrive at the destination herself. I will manage to reach the destination myself. Don't worry. I managed to reach the destination myself. I managed to reach the destination myself. I managed to reach the destination myself. Reach. I managed to reach the destination myself. 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 You ought to take care of yourself. You ought to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. You should take care of yourself. You ought to praise yourself for what you have done. It's as good as Nobel Prize. You ought to praise yourself for the accomplishment nobody else can do. You ought to praise yourself for the accomplishment you have made. Not many people can make. You ought to praise yourself for the accomplishment you have made. Not many people can make such a big masterpiece. Accomplishment. You ought to praise yourself for the accomplishment you have made. Not many people can make such a big accomplishment. You ought to praise yourself. You ought to praise yourself. You ought to praise yourself. Please take care of 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 yourself. Did you really finish all of the tasks yourself? Did you really finish the pile of tasks yourself in a day? Did you really finish the heap of tasks yourself? Did you really deal with all of the tasks yourself? Did you really succeed in eating all of the menus at the food fighting yourself? Did you really persuade her to go to the business trip with you yourself? Did you really get here on foot yourself? Did you really do the homework yourself? Did you really do the homework yourself? He is hurting himself by telling lies. He is hurting himself by telling lies. He is suffering himself by telling lies. He is bothering himself by telling lies. He is bothering himself by telling lies to escape a situation. He is afflicting himself by telling lies. He is he is afflicting himself by telling lies. 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 He calls himself Peko Peko. He calls himself Peko Peko. He calls himself superstar. He calls himself superstar. He calls himself big star. He calls himself big star. He calls himself president. He calls himself the president. He calls himself a savior. He calls himself a superstar. He did eat all of the menus served in the restaurant for the food battle himself. He did really finish. He did finish all of the tasks himself. He solved all of the problems himself. He dealt with all of the problems himself. He dealt with all of the problems himself. He coped with all of the problems himself. Himself. He resolved all of the problems himself. He resolved all of the, he resolved all of the problems himself. He resolved all of the problems himself. He resolved all of the problems. He resolved of all of the problems himself. Resolve. He resolved. He resolved all of the problems himself. He resolved all of the problems himself. He solved all of the problems himself. He solved all of the problems himself. He solved the problem. He solved the problem. He solved the problem. Solve. He solved the problem. Solved. He solved the problems himself. He solved the problem himself. He resolved the problem himself. He submitted the resignation to the boss himself. He reported to his boss himself. He went to the present room himself. She is afflicting herself by telling lies. She is afflicting herself by telling lies in order to make her look good with fake information. But the fake information will be noticed at some point. She is afflicting herself by telling lies in order to make her look good in the social networking service. She is afflicting herself by telling lies. She is afflicting herself by telling lies. She should take care of herself. She ought to take care of herself. She ought to take care of herself. She should take care of herself. She ought to take care of herself. She ought to take care of herself. She should take care of herself. She should take care of herself. She ought to 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 take care of herself. Can you make a reservation yourself? She made the reservation herself. She made all of the arrangements herself. She made all of the arrangements herself. She made all of the arrangements herself. She does everything herself. She doesn't want to rely on somebody. She does everything herself. She hates to rely on others. She hates to turn to others. She hates to count on others. She does everything herself. She hates to turn to others. She hates to rely on others. She hates to count on others. The cell reproduces itself. The cell is ability to reproduce itself. The cell has the ability to reproduce itself. I think I'm not sure about the mechanism but the tail of the lizard, as far as I know, has the ability to reproduce itself. As far as I know, the tail of the lizard has the ability to reproduce itself after being cut. The cell has the ability to reproduce itself. The cell reproduces itself. The dog is scratching itself to alleviate the itchiness, to relieve the itchiness, to calm the itchiness down. I want my money to increase itself. I want my money to increase itself. I want my money to skyrocket itself. The leaves change the color of itself in autumn. The leaves turn to red or yellow in autumn. The leaves turn red or yellow in autumn. The leaves has the ability to change the color of itself. The leaves of the leaves of the trees have the ability to change the color of itself. The leaves of the tree have the ability to change the color of itself. The leaves of the tree change the color of itself. Thus, the shellfish protects itself by closing the seashell. The shellfish protects itself with the seashells surrounding their body. The shellfish hid itself as soon as it noticed enemies around. As soon as the shellfish noticed the enemies around, it hid itself. The shellfish hid itself. The shellfish hid itself by closing the body. The shellfish closed its body. The shellfish hid itself by closing its body. The shellfish hid itself by closing its body. The shellfish hid itself by closing its body. The rabbit hid itself. 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 The animal 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 hit itself. The shellfish 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 protects itself with the strong body. The shellfish protects itself with the very hard shell surrounding itself. The shellfish protects itself from the enemies with strong hard shells. The shellfish protects itself with the hard shell surrounding itself. The shellfish protects itself with the strong hard shell surrounding itself. The shellfish protects itself with the hard shell surrounding itself. The shellfish protects itself with the hard shell surrounding itself. The shellfish protects itself with the shell surrounding itself. The shellfish protects itself with the shell surrounding itself. The shellfish protects itself with the shell surrounding itself. The shellfish protects itself with the hard shell surrounding itself. The shellfish protects itself with the hard shell surrounding itself. The shellfish protects itself with the shell surrounding itself. The shellfish protects itself with the hard shell surrounding itself. The shellfish protects itself with the hard shell. The shellfish protects itself from enemies with the hard shell surrounding itself. The shellfish protects itself with the hard shell. The shellfish protects itself from enemies with the hard shell. The shellfish protects itself from enemies with the hard shell. The shellfish, not selfish, shellfish. The shellfish protects itself with the hard shell. 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 The shellfish protects itself from enemies with the hard shell. The cell reproduces itself. 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 The shellfish protects itself with a hard shell. The cell reproduces itself. I want money to increase itself. I want my money to increase itself. I want my money to increase itself. I want my money to increase, boost, skyrocket, look up, itself. I want my money to increase itself. The food is tastiest itself, as it is. The food is tastiest as it is, without adding any other sauce. The food is tastiest itself, without adding any sauce. Adding any sauce. The food is tastiest as it is, without adding any sauce. The food is tastiest itself. The food is tastiest itself, without adding any sauce. The food is tastiest itself. The food is tastiest itself. The product costs 1 million yen itself without consumption tax and shipping fee. So if miscellaneous expenses are included, it will cost more in total. The product itself costs 1 million yen. So if it is added with consumption tax, shipping fee, and other miscellaneous expenses, it will cost more. The product costs about 1 million yen without consumption tax or other miscellaneous expenses. The product costs 1 million yen itself. The product costs 1 million yen itself. The curriculum takes half a year itself. The curriculum takes half a year itself. Tuition fee costs 1.2 million yen a year itself, without textbooks and so on. The tuition fee for the school cost about 1.2 million yen itself. The product you are going to buy costs about 10,000 yen itself without any other miscellaneous expenses. I want my money to increase itself. I want my money to increase itself. I want my money to increase itself. The cub is searching for food itself. The cub is searching for food itself. It is often said the melody appears itself suddenly. It is said that a melody appears suddenly itself. Has ever melody appeared itself in you? Has ever melody appeared in you suddenly itself? Has ever melody appeared itself in you while you are making music, maybe? Has ever melody appeared itself suddenly in you? Has ever melody appeared in itself in you? Has ever a melody appeared itself in you? Both happy and sad occasions will appear itself themselves. Happy occasion will appear itself. Time is passing itself. Time is passing itself. I want my money to increase 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 itself. I'd like my money to increase itself. I'd like my money to increase itself. I'd like my money to increase itself. I would like my money to increase itself. I would like my money to increase itself. I'd like my money to increase itself. A happy occasion will appear itself. A sad occasion will also appear itself. Has ever melody appeared itself in you? Has ever good memory appeared itself in you? Has good melody appeared in you itself? Has good memory appeared itself in you? Has good memory melody appeared itself in you? Has good melody appeared in you? Has good melody emerged suddenly itself in you? Has good melody emerged itself in you? Has good melody appeared itself in you? Has good melody appeared itself in you? Has good melody appeared emerged in itself in you? Has good melody appeared itself in you? Has good melody appeared in itself in you? Has good melody appeared in itself in you? Has good melody emerged 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 in itself in you? Has good melody emerged itself in you? Has good melody emerged itself in you? Time passes itself. The sun goes down itself. The sun rises up itself. The sun sets itself. The sun sets itself. The sun rises up itself. The weather changes itself. The weather changes itself. The weather changes itself. The weather changes itself. The sun rises itself. The sun sets in itself. The sun sets in itself. The sun rises up in itself. The sun sets in itself. The sun sets in itself. The sun sets in itself. The sun rises up itself. The weather changes itself. A happy thing will emerge itself. A sad occasion also appear itself. Drowsiness appears itself. Drowsiness emerges itself in us. Drowsiness appears itself. Drowsiness emerges itself. Drowsiness appears itself. Drowsiness emerges itself. Drowsiness turns up itself. Drowsiness shows up itself. Drowsiness often shows up itself after eating lunch. Drowsiness often turns up itself after eating lunch. Drowsiness often turns up itself after eating lunch. Drowsiness often hits me itself after eating lunch. Drowsiness often emerges itself after eating lunch. Drowsiness often emerges itself after eating lunch. I want my money to increase itself. I want my money to increase itself. The calf is searching for something to eat itself. The calf seems to be searching for something to eat itself. The calf managed to find food itself. The calf managed to find food itself. The bear succeeded in catching the salmon swimming in the river when it jumped. The bear succeeded in catching the jumping salmon itself. The bear succeeded in catching the jumping salmon at the river. The bear succeeded in catching the jumping salmon itself. The cell has the ability to reproduce itself. The cell reproduces itself. As far as I know, the tail of the lizard has the ability to reproduce itself. As far as I know, the tail of the lizard has the ability to reproduce itself. The cell has the ability to reproduce itself. The shellfish protects itself with the hard shell. The shellfish protects itself. The shellfish protects itself. I want my money to increase itself. I want my money to increase itself. We enjoyed ourselves singing and dancing at the party. We enjoyed ourselves singing and dancing at the party. We enjoyed ourselves singing and dancing at the party. We enjoyed ourselves singing and dancing at the party. We enjoyed 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 ourselves singing and dancing at the party. We enjoyed ourselves singing and dancing at the party. We devoted most of our time to developing the device. We devoted ourselves to the invention of the masterpiece. We devoted ourselves to the invention of the product. We devoted ourselves to the development of the semiconductor product. We devoted ourselves to the invention of the product for both the world and the company. We devoted ourselves to the development of the product which our customers are waiting for. We devoted ourselves to the development of the new video console which many fans are waiting for. Had been waiting for. We are devoting ourselves to the development of the new video console, which many fans are waiting for. We are devoting our service to the development of the new video console, which many fans have been waiting for. And since the release of the previous console. And we are going to praise our service for the accomplishment we have made at the izakaya, Japanese tavern. We are going to praise our service for the accomplishments we have made at the party. We are going to celebrate our service on the accomplishment we have made at the party. We are going to praise our service for the accomplishments we have done at the karaoke party. We are going to praise our service for the accomplishments we have made at the bar. We should take care of ourselves. We should take care of ourselves. We ought to take care of ourselves. We ought to take care of ourselves. We ought to take care of ourselves. We are to take care of ourselves. We are supposed to take care of ourselves. We ought to take care of ourselves. We ought not to ruin our health. We ought not to ruin our health. Ought you to go to the meeting today? Ought you to go to the party? Ought you go to work on Sunday? Ought you go to work on Sunday? Ought you to go to work on Saturday? Ought you to work overtime today? Ought you to work overtime? Ought I to apologize to her? 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 The train ought to arrive here in a couple of minutes. We ought to take care of ourselves. 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 We are going to enjoy ourselves at the karaoke tonight. We are going to enjoy ourselves at karaoke party. We are going to enjoy ourselves singing and dancing at the bar. We did finish the job, duty, a part of tasks, ourselves. We are going to solve the problems ourselves. So, no thank you. We will not turn to you. We will not count on you. We will not rely on you. We will not be dependent on you. We are going to solve the problems ourselves. We are going to solve the problems ourselves. We will manage it somehow. We will manage it somehow ourselves. We will manage it 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 ourselves. We will solve the problems ourselves. We will resolve the problems ourselves. Resolve. We will resolve the problems ourselves. We will manage it ourselves. Do that yourselves. Do that yourselves. Solve the problems yourselves. You are afflicting yourselves by telling lies. 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 You ought to take care of yourselves. Do that yourselves. Finish a pile of tasks yourselves. 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 You are afflicting yourselves by telling lies. You are afflicting yourselves by telling lies. You are afflicting yourselves by defrauding others. You are afflicting yourselves by defrauding innocent people. So accept yourselves as scammers. Accept yourselves as scammers. Accept yourselves as scammers. You are afflicting yourselves by telling lies, defrauding innocent people out there. Accept yourselves as scammers. Accept yourselves scammers. You are afflicting yourselves by defrauding innocent people out there. Accept yourselves as scammers. Millionaires will not accept themselves as millionaire. Billionaires will not accept themselves as billionaires. Maybe. Adapt yourselves to the new environment as soon as possible. Accustom yourselves to the new environment as soon as possible. Familiarize yourselves with familiarize yourselves to the new environment as soon as possible. Accustom yourselves to the new environment as soon as possible. It was not long before they accustomed themselves to the new environment. Accustom yourselves to the new environment. Familiarize yourselves to the new environment. Adapt yourselves to the new environment. Adapt your service to the new environment as soon as possible. Adjust yourselves to the new environment as soon as possible. Adjust your service to the new environment as soon as possible. Accept yourselves criminals. Accept yourselves as scammers. Accept yourselves as scammers. Accept yourselves as the suspects. Accept yourselves as the criminals. Embrace yourselves as the scammers. Accept yourselves as scammers. There are many victims out there. Report to police stations. Accept yourselves as scammers. Accept yourselves as scammers. Accept yourselves as the rich. Accept yourself as the rich. Accept yourselves as the person behind the scenes. You've been hiding yourselves. You've been hiding yourselves. You've been hiding yourselves. You've been hiding yourselves. You have 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 been hiding yourselves. You've been hiding yourselves. You've been hiding yourselves. Take care of yourselves. You should take care of yourselves. You should cherish yourselves. You ought to cherish yourselves. You ought to praise yourselves what you have done for the accomplishment. You ought to praise yourselves. You ought to praise yourselves for the accomplishments you have made. You ought to praise yourselves. 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 You ought to praise your service. 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 You should praise your service for the accomplishments you have made. Ever. You ought to take care of your service. You ought to take care of your service. You are afflicting your service by defrauding innocent people. Accept your service as scammers. You have been afflicting your service by defrauding other innocent people. Accept your service as scammers. You are doing damage to your service. You are doing damage to your service by defrauding innocent people. Apologize to your service. Apologize to your service for working overtime. Apologize to your service working overtime for long at the expense of your health. You will not accept your service as scammers. You are just benefiting yourselves only. You are just benefiting yourselves only. You are just dividing the profits yourselves. You should take care of yourselves. You should take care of yourselves. You ought to take care of yourselves. You ought to take care of yourselves. You ought to take care of yourselves. Adapt yourselves to the new environment as soon as possible. Familiarize yourselves to the new environment as soon as possible. Adjust your service to the new environment as soon as possible. Accustom your service to the new environment as soon as possible. Accustom your service to the new environment. Accustom your service to the new environment. Adjust your service to the new environment. Adjust your service to the new environment. Adjust your service to the new environment. Adapt your service to the new environment. Adjust your service to the different environment within a week. Adapt yourselves to the new environment within a week. Accustom yourselves to the new environment within a week. Familiarize yourselves to the new environment within a week. Okay. Admire yourselves. Don't adorn yourselves with fake information. 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 Admit yourselves as successors. Admit yourselves as successors. Don't adorn yourselves with fake information. 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 Yourselves. How are you going to deal with the problems yourselves without any help from specialized people? How are you going to deal with the problems yourselves? How are you going to deal with the problems yourself? How are you going to deal with the problems yourselves? I'm sure they are beyond reach of your understanding. Solve the problems yourselves. Come up with the solutions yourselves. Come up with the solutions yourselves. Come up with the resolutions yourselves. Come up with the resolutions yourselves. Come up with the resolutions yourselves. Do that yourselves. Manage it yourselves. Manage it somehow yourselves. Manage it 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 yourselves. 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 Reach the destination yourselves. I'm sorry, but reach the destination yourselves. Please reach the destination at least 15 minutes before the starting time yourselves. Please book the flight and arrange all of the things such as flight, hotel, and so on yourselves. Can you make all of the arrangements yourselves? Please make the reservations yourselves. Please have access to the destination yourselves. Please bring food, drinks yourselves. Please bring what you need yourselves. Please make the reservations yourselves. They call themselves the number one team. They liken themselves to the boat flowing in the middle of the ocean. They liken themselves to a small boat flowing in the middle of the ocean. They devoted themselves to the development of the technology needed for the patients. They devoted themselves to the development of the new video console, which many fans have been waiting for since the release of the previous console 10 years ago. They are devoting themselves to the development of the new video game, which many fans have been waiting for since the release of the previous model 10 years ago. They are devoting themselves to the development of the new video console, which many fans have been waiting for to be released. Since the previous console was released about 10 years ago. They are devoting themselves to the development of the new video console, which many fans have been waiting for a long time. They accepted themselves as scammers. They accepted themselves as scammers. They call themselves last saviors to help the world. They call themselves the last saviors to help the world. They enjoyed themselves singing and dancing at the bar. They enjoyed themselves singing, dancing at the bar. They treated themselves to steak, sushi, and other fancy cuisines. They admire themselves with lots of sweet snacks and drinks at the party. They admire themselves with lots of snacks, sweets, drinks, and so on. They are dedicating themselves to the development of the new video console, which many fans have been waiting for until since the previous console was released about 5 years ago. They are dedicating themselves to the development of the new technology, which is needed to help some patients. They are devoting themselves to the development of new technologies, which are really in need for some particular patients. They are devoting themselves to the development of the new technology, which is really needed to help some particular people. They are devoting themselves to the earliest release of the product to meet the fans' expectations. They did invent the awesome product themselves. They came up with a unique idea themselves. They came up with a unique solution themselves. They decorated the school very colorful enough to attract many customers themselves. They came up with a distinctive idea themselves. They came up with the great new idea themselves. They decided to make all of the arrangements themselves. They decided to make all of the things tailored. They decided to make everything themselves. They decided to have it customized themselves. They decided to have everything customized themselves. You can have it customized. Okay. But I'm sure it will be more expensive. They call themselves the last savior to help the world. They enjoyed themselves singing and dancing at the bar. They enjoyed themselves singing and dancing at the bar. They enjoyed themselves eating, dancing, singing at the bar. They did finish the work themselves. They reached the destination themselves with no help from others. They reached the destination. 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 They reached the destination themselves. They reached the destination themselves. They reached the destination. They reached the destination themselves. 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 Okay, I will finish speaking here. Speaking here. Thank you for watching. See you next time. See you.